There we go. Welcome for all watching this video. I'm Nienke van Bezooij from the Netherlands, and I'm with my dear friend and colleague, Daeyoung Kim. And I'm from the Netherlands, and you are from?
Korea.
So Daeyoung and I met years ago, and over the years, we found more and more out of each other, and we have a shared passion. And the shared passion is to support people with emotional and mental problems. And life kicks in, and we became collaborators in the Phoenix frequencies. And
Woohoo.
that's all about support, how people can refine themselves again and Phoenix and make the best out of what's to come. And that's our shared passion. And we got a big call to share what we're doing, don't we?
Yeah.
So it's super exciting. We created a PowerPoint to see what we're doing. And we're doing this because we had a conversation with someone from your country. Can you
Yes.
explain what you discovered in your country?
Sure. Yes. One of my very dear friends and contacts contacted me and asked me what we can do together. And he has like a big question about addiction problems in Korea. Because our country puts really high emphasis about competition rather than collaboration yet. And he really wants to help children, young people, and adults who are suffering from gambling. And I thought that's really isolated problem. And I discussed it with Nienke from Netherlands. And she had really great solutions. And I really want to introduce her experience and solution to my fellow Koreans. That's how we created this webinar.
I'm super happy to contribute for a possible solution. And because you did the research there, Daeyoung, I did some research in the Netherlands. And although we are total different culture, we could see globally overall a wave coming up, particularly after COVID, how to be with mental resilience. So I think it's time to pull the PowerPoint up. Bear a bit of patience
Mhm.
with me to get the whole thing there.
Take
So
your time. Take your
yeah, I
time. Dun, dun,
will.
dun, dun, dun,
We
dun.
will just go ahead there and make it work.
Fantastic. Again, thank you so much, Nienke.
You're welcome. There we go. So what I really want to do, and I think it's good to pull us up as well, isn't it?
Yes. And
There.
the other
There
side,
we go.
yes.
There we go. So, um, what I created is because there was a question about horse gambling, but also the beautiful power of the horses themselves to see how Koreans can go to the collaboration with horses on a healing path rather than only the competition and gambling and addiction to gambling part. So that's why I just moved on in this area and wanted to create this background information. So there we go. Just see for the next slide. I have to move a bit because if we
Mm.
have to understand what's going on, we have to see where our attention is. And I'm a passionate photographer in nature, as you can see. So these are my pictures. But where we
Woohoo!
put our attention, that's where our energy goes. And if we put it in a sustainable and resilience part rather than an addiction part, our resilience can grow. So that's why I made it further like this. I'm a heart math trainer. Heart Math is a international organization who does a lot of research, over 30 years of really deep research, what's possible with the heart and the brain. And I just want to share some background knowledge about that. Because when we are a tiny, tiny embryo in our mother's womb, our intelligence starts to grow in our heart, in our cells, in our heart first, before our brain is developed. So we can recognize intelligence cells very similar to our brain cells in our heart. And there's often said in English, we have our gut feeling. So there is a feeling outside of our head what gives us information, and we call it intuition or we call it a feeling. But that's the collaboration between the heart and the brain.
Brain.
And it gives neurological signals from the heart. And it's all about what you can see in perception, but also in emotions. And if you know what is going on there, you can help yourself in emotional self regulation. I will go into that further.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust that if there are any questions, you will jump in, won't you?
So far, so good.
Okay, now there we
Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm.
What is coherence? Because you will hear that more. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a electrocardiogram in hospital with a doctor, for example, you see this the statistics going on like this. But between the heartbeats, there is space as well. If that's aligned, we call that coherence. It's like a rowing boat rowing at the same pace. And you go forward, you move on. But what would happen if these rowers in this rowing boat, each and every one will just paddle a direction and they aren't in sync? I don't think it will work. But if we are in sync, coherent, we have huge benefits. Psychological, it helps our immune system, it helps our hormonal and nervous system, and it helps to stay healthy and energetic. So that's if you know coherence, and we go to that
Mm-hmm.
further, um, that's the key. But we have to know
Mm-hmm.
more about it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to become a good functioning rowing boat rather than paddling all different directions. So if we are having energy, that's fine. But you can also see where you can lose your energy or get out of your resilience. Four areas are there. So I always say if you feel suppressed, if you feel um, with grief or anger, that's the emotional part.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, you can have pain, you can have uh, health problems, or you can be very tired, as simple as that. But that's the physical body saying something. But how about mental? You know, you can use your brain capacities, your mental capacities a lot. But if you have a resistance there or a leaking of energy, you will see there the results as well. And within heart math, they call it spiritual, but I always say values. So
Mm-hmm.
if you go against your personal core values and you have a lack of tolerance for other values and beliefs, it can be a draining in energy. The key to turn the whole things around where you're draining or gaining your energy is your self-regulation. And the self-regulation is is there when you have a coherent foundation. So if you are aligned, all those four areas will support you.
Wow.
If you're out of sync, and your personal pedals go all the way, all different directions, you
Ah,
lose. And I will show you what will happen then. But just keep this picture in mind.
okay.
Now, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I created this. So you can see here a quadrant, four areas where you can lose or drain energy and where you can gain or increase energy. In just putting you on the heart math devices, we could see if you drain your energy, you are incoherent. The statistics will look like this. I always call this earthquake. But if you do the heart math techniques, you will see in the measurements a very nice, just flowing, coherent line where the spaces between the heartbeats are
Mm-hmm.
in sync rather than the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
What will increase this is all the emotions and feelings on the left side. For example, as you can see, the frustration, the irritation, impatience, anger, judgment, fear, failure. Can you feel them?
Yes.
How would they make them feel? It's not that coherent, perhaps. But
No.
if you don't listen to that and you continue and you force your energy there,
Oof.
it will deplete you, what could
Mm-hmm.
lead to sadness or grief and worry, shame, depletion, exhaustion, but also depression.
Yeah.
Now, if we can do the heart math techniques and we
Mm-hmm.
go to the heart, we will shift those feelings to what's more sustainable for you. So when the
Mm-hmm.
heartbeat goes up, you get here the
Mm-hmm.
impatient and more forced
Mm-hmm.
energies. If you go
Mm-hmm.
down, it's more depleting and slowing energies.
Mm-hmm.
Here, your heartbeat goes up as well, but based on joy and
Mm-hmm.
confidence, pleasure, true care, love, beauty. Just fill in whatever makes you happy and gives you a smile on your face. The love for someone, something, being in nature, just name it. You can just go there. And if
Mm-hmm.
you feel that, how are you feeling then? Is that the same thing as on the left side, or do you feel
No.
more at
Mm-hmm.
ease or at peace? Now,
Peace.
if we really calm down in this feeling of gratitude and appreciation, for example, our heartbeat slows down, but in a coherent way. And then we can
Mm-hmm.
feel, for example, appreciation. We can feel calm, patience, peace, gratitude, fulfillment, safety, belonging. It's like a warm bath with no
Mm-hmm.
rush. So if you can feel here the warm bath, here where you get
Mm-hmm.
the bucket of cold water on top of you,
Ew.
that's the difference, you know? How would it
Huge
make you feel?
difference.
Yeah, yeah. Within heart math, we call it the emotional landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And just being conscious, being aware where your emotions are the key to shift them from one side to the other. And it doesn't mean this is bad and this is good. It's more the impact on the biochemical level in your body, because this feeds hormones
Mm-hmm.
like cortisol, stress hormones. This creates the hormones what relaxes the body, what
Mm-hmm.
fulfills the body with an energy, what's sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make
Awesome.
sense?
Yes, totally makes sense. And we can choose, right?
Yeah. And the techniques are very easy trainable. You can do it in a couple of seconds even if you want, but that's for
Mm-hmm.
later. So
Yep.
let's continue in the education. So here we go in our incoherence and coherence. So
Mm-hmm.
the emotions, what we just had on the left side of the emotional landscape, you can see
Mm-hmm.
here, and you can see the heart rate goes up.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 100 and it's the 50. Um, So you can see it's very irregular in times and space. If we have this coherence, what we can feed by choice, the appreciation, the calm, the patience, the confidence, the joy, we can see that there is a very coherent pattern, what helps our hormone system. And
Mm-hmm.
1400 points in the body will increase for the good if we have
Mm-hmm.
this. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a drop, it's a wave, what we can create ourselves. So this is a bit of the science behind it, but we go further. I will show
Yep.
you. Because, here we go. If
Mm-hmm.
we look at stress, there's nothing wrong about stress. It keeps us moving, it keeps us alert, it increases our performance level. That's all fine. That's why we have some such things as adrenaline and cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine because it gets
Mm-hmm.
us on the move. Nothing wrong. Just be aware of that. So now we
Yep.
can see here um, what we can do in the timing in days, and here we can see what we can do in performance. So here we get a task. We put it on. It embraces the challenge and improves performance. There we go. There we go. All fine, all fine. You
Mm-hmm.
can see on
Mm-hmm.
the blue line where the performance is
Mm-hmm.
really good. Now, can we go on like this forever? It's a peak performance. So here we go. And you can see in the red, the performance level goes on. You can see a period of maximum efficiency, but it
Yes.
doesn't go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
But we want there. We want to prove. We want to go on. We want to have the performance. The striving energy is there. Nothing wrong there. And we have to have a counterproductive hormone as well, just to be sustainable. But in our day and age, we lost that a lot because we're in such a rush to get a peak performance all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We can become addicted to that. We can see a
Oof.
hyper reactive stage. So we can still prove and keep up the performance
Oof. Oof.
until you can't any longer and you have a breakdown.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
You feel depleted, exhaustion, um,
Mm-hmm.
burnouts, mental problems there because you
Mm-hmm.
can't keep up in the third stage. You can't.
No. No.
You can go on for a long time, but it costs you
No.
your health. It's
Mm-hmm.
proven by now that more
Yeah.
people die of stress related heart
Oh.
diseases than any other cause of death in the world. So it's not starvation, it's not environmental problems, it's not even war. More people die due to the stress related physical responses of pushing through the hyperreactive stage. If we look at the World Health Organization, I have the statistics there. It's shocking. And at the same time, if we stay in shock, we go to the
Mm-hmm.
breakdown. If we know there is a solution, it gives
Yes.
hopes, and that's
Mm-hmm.
more giving more energy than draining in a negative or left side of the emotional grid. Because
Right.
I get driven to support because I know what we can do. Does this make sense, Daeyoung?
Yep.
Good.
Totally. Totally.
Let's move on. We
Yep.
did some research, and this is a lot of text, but I just put it on the slides because then we can just see what's going on. As I said, there are so many biochemical responses in the body based on stress and incoherence, just the feelings of fear and insecurity, stuff like that. Um, the body will search for a soothing feeling, and that will be in dopamine or endorphins.
Mm-hmm.
Dopamine is where there is a correlation between what the heart and the brain sends in the area of feelings of pleasure, satisfaction, and motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And endorphin,
Mm-hmm.
it elevates the pain and it lowers stress, improves the mood and the feeling of well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we are in this overdrive mode,
Oh,
the brain will search
yeah.
for a solution to get to the stage where they feel soothed
Wow.
again.
Wow.
But we can't find it in ourselves anymore. We
Mm-hmm.
we just catapult the feelings from the brain to the heart and vice versa. So we
Mm-hmm.
get an external short time satisfaction in the feeling of
Mm-hmm.
winning or being at peace or relaxed, but it can be in the distraction in alcohol or drugs. Don't estimate sugar,
Mm-hmm.
fast food, smoking, and it will mislead the brain to fill up the emptiness with the health threatening solutions if you go that road.
Mm-hmm.
The side effect is also there that it instantly decreases the resilience and clear decision making. And it will just go into discomfort again very fast. And the rushed energy and the overdrive energy and just stretching out the high level of performance is the source of the mental and physical health problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you can't keep up the appearances, it will be a feeling of shame and despair and feeling of failure. And what will the brain do again? Trying to soothe again. And then it's
Yeah.
just a loop. This
Mm-hmm.
is what's happening in the mental despair in the world. And we're searching our way out and we can't find where. And we think it's external and we have to look internally. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we have this video. So
Mm-hmm.
you can see it's a yin yang,
Yep.
the
Yep. Yep.
connection to between the heart and the brain. So
Mm-hmm.
there we go.
Yep.
Our rushed energy, it's
Ah, yes.
the push to perform, to prove, to soothe through success.
Mm-hmm.
And taking on many tasks, trying to fit in the mold of performance, showing success, because only if you show success you're good. Well, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
Mm-hmm.
so. We try to find our way out to feel better, and the whole physiological biochemical process goes on. It's a stimulant to the brain, but it makes us
Mm-hmm.
very, very vulnerable to addiction. So there we go,
Oh,
to
yes.
filling up the feeling
Oh.
with the
Mm-hmm.
external is the source for addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Filling up the
Mm-hmm.
hole of feel better
Mm-hmm.
from inside.
Oh, wow.
Now, we have a key. It's called the heart. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to collaborate like the yin yang with the
Okay.
brain. So we can
Mm-hmm.
turn around this rushed energy, trying to keep up, keep up, keep up until there is a breakdown. And if we just see in the statistics the rate of suicide for young people, if we see the rate of mental health, um,
Mm-hmm.
if you know you can turn the key
Mm-hmm.
to a new feeling good, it's worth at
Mm-hmm.
least giving a try. But it requires also a cultural shift. Because
Yes.
if we only see rushing as success,
Mm-mm.
we might not get there.
No. No.
So
No.
let's see.
Yes.
Science.
Mm-hmm.
You can look up your amygdala. Your amygdala is in the brain and it's the key brain center, what plays a big role in emotional experience. And the cells in the amygdala are synchronized with the heart rhythm. So we spoke about the heart and the brain
Mm-hmm.
connection. This is the
Mm-hmm.
communication part.
Mm-hmm.
And the amygdala creates brain patterns and rhythms just to copy what they know. It's like paving a path. So if you only know rushed energy, it will only
Mm-hmm.
recognize rushed energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it will monitor what's a familiar or non-familiar pattern. So if you know your pattern, if we can see what's there, it's irregular and incoherent.
Mm-hmm.
We can train the
Mm-hmm.
heart and through the amygdala a new baseline, a new way how we can create our feelings to a way that is supporting us. So
Mm-hmm.
creating a new baseline between the brain, amygdala, and the heart
Mm-hmm.
is the pathway to a new path. But you
Mm-hmm.
have to know how. So
Yeah.
that's why I put it in. It's just neuroscience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a hype. It's just 30 years of research. And you can see here, it's the neuroplasticity, all the areas there. It's very scientifically based. Um, and it's not rocket science if you know that people in Buddhism, for example, go to a state, meditation,
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness, the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's similar.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
This has just some science behind. Well, some
Mm-hmm.
science, 30 years of science behind. So if we can interrupt our
Mm-hmm.
unconscious, automatic created patterns,
Mm-hmm.
we can create a new baseline, new patterns between the heart and the brain. And we can
Mm-hmm.
get them as the rowing boat together. So we can
Mm-hmm.
shift and reset if we know how where to put our plug in.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have to recognize, and that's important in addiction, to see that an emotional reaction, what we sort of quote always do, isn't a helpful one. So we have to play a trick on the brain and say, well, no, we're doing something different.
Yes.
We listen to our inner prompter, we act and insight based on what we feel, not on what the brain thinks it thinks.
Mm-hmm.
You are the thinker of your thoughts and you're the feeling of your
Yes.
feelings. But if you get them mixed up and you think your thoughts are your feelings, you're not getting there. You have to
No.
train what you feel to turn around and
Mm-hmm.
train a new nervous system to a healthier normal, because always rushed energy, it's like you're still fighting the dinosaurs. We are in an other area now, era now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we
Mm-hmm.
have to practice consistently and
Yep.
consciously. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like taking a pill and everything is ready. We are
Mm-hmm.
such a fixing society
Mm-hmm.
in many areas of the world. Give me a pill and then I'm better. No, you're not. You're suppressed.
No. Yeah.
And if you know you can have the key in your own hands, would you give it to a pill or would you be self supportive? Well, I think
Of
that's a
course,
challenge.
self-supportive. Yeah.
Well, it takes work, Daeyoung, and not
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
is ready to do the work.
Uh-huh. We have you.
Yeah, we have you, and still there's much you can do, but it isn't like a quick fix.
No.
If you know where to go, what to do, you can
Mm-hmm.
prep yourself, you can reset yourself and sustain this new baseline. But it
Yes.
doesn't come overnight. It's just
Mm-hmm.
work.
Right.
Where we put our attention, there we can grow.
Yes.
If we don't
Yes.
have tension,
Mm-hmm.
it's a quick fix in health problems, not in fixing, but just increasing what's going on. We
Mm-hmm.
can turn around, but you have to do the
Yes.
work.
We can do it.
Now, horses can help.
Oh.
So I will just move us here so we can
Mm-hmm.
see this beautiful video.
Mm.
There is a lot of research within the HeartMath Institute between the bond between horses and humans, and it's so
Mm-hmm.
worth sharing that
Mm-hmm.
I put it in here. So, are you ready?
Yes, please.
There we go.
Woohoo!
Did you know that a horse's heart rhythms reflect what they're feeling? And that these same rhythms show how horses can sense the emotional state of nearby humans? Humans have long reported strong emotional bonds with animals. We have heard the statement, horses can sense when you're afraid. But did you know they can also sense when you're feeling uplifting emotions like appreciation? Research conducted by Anne Baldwin and Professor Ellen Gerke, with assistance from the HeartMath Institute, is helping uncover just how this is possible. In the studies, electrocardiogram recorders were placed on the human and horse participants to capture their heart rate variability. HRV is highly sensitive to changes in emotional states. When you're feeling anxious, for instance, your HRV takes on an incoherent pattern. Whereas when you're feeling appreciation, that would be associated with a coherent HRV pattern, which has been shown to have numerous mental, emotional, and physical health benefits. Back on the ranch in the first study, Dr. Gerke sat in a corral with her horse Tonopah, neither touching nor petting him. She practiced a HeartMath technique called heart lock-in, focusing on the feelings of love and appreciation she had for her horse. Researchers expected that Ellen's HRV would take on the coherent pattern we mentioned before, but Tonopah's HRV also shifted to a more coherent pattern, indicating that he was able to sense and respond to the emotional information carried by the energetic field of Ellen's heart. The experiment was replicated successfully with several different human-horse pairs. Interestingly, in a follow-up study, Dr. Baldwin also noticed large increases in both the horse and humans' VLF rhythms during their interactions with each other. This increase did not occur when humans were interacting with other humans, only when they interacted with the horses. VLF is an intrinsic rhythm generated by the heart's intrinsic nervous system, also called the heart brain, and plays a pivotal role in our health and well-being. Reduced VLF has been correlated with an increased risk for major health challenges. Another point of note, horses have naturally high amplitudes of the VLF rhythm. So could this increase in a person's VLF be an indicator of the positive effects the horse may be having on the human?
Now, there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you
So,
Wow.
this is quite a thing. If we know there is a lot of horse racing and gambling on horse racing, we can see there is a challenge there. Horse racing and the gambling around it, it's based on a rushed energy. So, because we knew we were doing this video, we did research, you and I, on the background of Korea
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and where a shift came from a Buddhist and more, let's say, Zen kind of
Yeah.
baseline, what would
Mm-hmm.
be here in the right side of the grid.
Mm-hmm.
But due to the collaborations and the influence on the Second World War, as we call them here, and the Korean War,
Mm-hmm.
there was a need for protection and winning and ruling and fighting for
Yes.
freedom, working hard and proving became the norm,
Mm-hmm.
but also being respectful is there too. There is an inner conflict between feeling respectful and honoring and collaboration and peace and prosperity, and the rushed energy in protecting, fighting, and working hard as the norm. And it's all showing up in
Mm-hmm.
horse racing, what is a
Mm.
huge thing in Korea, isn't it?
It is. It is.
So not making it right or wrong, but what it did to Korea was bringing wealth and status in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's created a community and shared values there. But the pitfalls are there too in a patriarchal dominant, male dominant society,
Mm-hmm.
polarization, a really hard time to find your own space and identity and a healthy rest, because there's only rushed energy, because that's the best you can do. Leisure or to stay resilient is more difficult, and it leads to mental health problems and that hole inside of the feeling of satisfaction leading to addiction. So if you see here the rushed energy, what is good for just a moment, and to the relaxed state of, by the way, this is from the Korean National Museum, in feeding the horse,
Mm-hmm.
or diminishing the horse in under the label of training. That's not what
Mm-hmm.
we only do with the horses, but we do with
No.
humans as well. Whip them up
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
listen.
No.
What would
Mm-hmm.
that do to the collaborative, but also the flight mode of a horse?
Mm-hmm.
If you can just be in collaboration and in love with the horse, then
Yeah.
we can get the exchange what we could see in the video.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Not in those
Mm-hmm.
three, but
Mm-hmm.
here it can. Maybe here too, by the way. Depends a bit how you feed.
Okay.
In the Netherlands, and I also
Mm-hmm.
know in other countries as well, there is a increased interest in people with special care, children with special
Mm-hmm.
care, but also people with addictions, to collaborate with the horses for a healing process rather than whipping up and let them win.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this could be an interesting thing if we can tap into the healing collaboration from the horse rather than using the horse to satisfy our rushed energy. So that's why I just made the possibility of connecting the dots.
Oh, beautiful.
There is a challenge. What do we do?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have a problem, unknown, unconscious problem in finding your true identity based on your roots, and you go to the rushed energy and proving status, and just having a society of winners and losers if you're wealthy, or poverty, living in poverty. If there's such a mental and intellect driven economy, it's hard to go to those feelings rather than the rushed driven feelings. And I think it's an opportunity for Korea to have the Buddhist values and go to the feelings again, so the outer performance isn't only dominant but in balance and no longer a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I think it's for the country a huge risk, because people more and more and more will try to find the coping mechanisms in addictions to feel better, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't know a way out.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
in the research, there is a worldwide used statistic of manual mental disorders, DSM-5.
Mm-hmm.
If you just look for yourself. I will read them out loud, and just you can tick box what you recognize for yourself or others. And by the way, um, This is money driven, but you can just make sugar,
Mm-hmm.
using of internet, using your mobile phone,
Mm-hmm.
screen time as the same addiction. So here it's obsessed. So it's obsession in making the money through gambling. And the tolerance that increases the numbers of bets because you have a hunger for more and more, and your
Mm-hmm.
natural
Mm-hmm.
filters that it doesn't feel right anymore gets numbed. And you get the withdrawal symptoms that leave you in a feeling of being irritable and anxious if you don't gamble. So you get this anxiety and fear feeling if you're missing out. And of course, having the depth and will just be stimulants to do more and more and more to hide and recoup your losses. But the shame is there because
Mm-hmm.
somehow you try to survive in a world what isn't exactly the same as you. Or if you are in the
Mm-hmm.
same world, it's even
Mm-hmm.
worse because you don't have a healthy environment around you. Lying and hiding the feelings of shame leads to more increased on the left side of the emotional landscape, all the health problems, the biochemical problems there. And it can lead to dysfunction in daily life, socially, mentally, physically, neglecting yourself, and even death. Because despair and depression and suicide attempts or feeling suicidal is huge because you don't
Yeah.
have access any longer, at least you don't know how. It's overruled
Mm-hmm.
by the rushed
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Mm-hmm.
trying to feel better, trying to feel better, trying to feel better, feel better, feel better, and
No,
you can't.
no. Yeah.
And
No.
the stimulants is there in gambling, and the stimulants is there in drugs, and the stimulants is there in screen time.
Mm.
So, work to do, Daeyoung.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is something I found what really um, got me because it's contagious.
Mm.
Just as a common cold is caused by the entry of viruses and a weakened immune system, addiction is also caused by a weakened psychological immune system due to stress, incidents, and accidents. And the entry of psychological viruses such as violence, sensationalism, and speculation of the digital media content is spreading the virus fast. So it's the consciousness, what's going on, and the
Mm-hmm.
self responsibility to turn your key around in the resilience you can build with your heart
Mm-hmm.
intelligence can lead to a solution. It's a
That's
wow.
great.
Let it
Yeah.
sink in.
Yep.
So, what we can learn from the horses is what we care about for the future. And the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs in Korea is really setting up something what works, and is searching for the collaboration with the horses.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
activating rehabilitation and healing from horse riding, but it can also be
Mm-hmm.
caring for horses. Um, and just being with the horse just to cure the physical, mental, and emotional disorders and increase social interest is hopeful. It's a big sign of hope. That puts me on the
Mm-hmm.
right side of the grid, it gets me there. And it's really searching for the development of standard programs and manuals just to
Mm-hmm.
be there in the distribution associated with horse riding facilities, experiences, and social public benefits for vulnerable groups, including
Mm-hmm.
addiction
Mm-hmm.
people, but also
Mm-hmm.
mental, physically, emotional health
Mm-hmm.
problems.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
is a key what we can learn from the horses there.
Mm-hmm.
what we, you and I, and the Heart Math
Mm-hmm.
Institute, we have a whole
Mm-hmm.
peer circle around us if we want, where we can tap into,
Yep.
is to turn the key around and have the facilitation of the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of heart brain functioning, because you don't know what you don't know. You
No.
can't blame anyone from not knowing.
No.
Just having education in how to
Yes.
prevent addiction. I've been
Yes.
working in collaboration with the C20, the advising
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
area for the G20 in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
The Heart Ambassadors and Fiera Institute, where I am a partner with, was an advisor there, and just the emotional self-regulation in
Mm-hmm.
education was adopted by the G20.
Oh, awesome. Mm-hmm.
Education in
Mm-hmm.
how we can keep ourselves healthy, and learn that at a very young age. It needs to be,
Beautiful.
if it's up to
Yes.
us, in
Yes.
from kindergarten on, to know what to do and turn your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Relearning or learning resilience as an internal source is so important, and we can support this tapping into your own resilience in rehab programs, no matter what rehab it is. I do
Mm-hmm.
it, for example, with people with brain injuries.
Mm.
Um, but students, anyone with
Mm.
mental health problems, addictions,
Mm-hmm.
can be
Mm-hmm.
benefiting
Yep.
from
Yes.
this.
Yes.
We want to create ambassadors in the recognition and
Mm-hmm.
treatment programs. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
us, but it's well
Mm-hmm.
and widespread. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, building the community support and
Yes.
social safe environments based on the government and entrepreneurial support
Mm-hmm.
in, well, we can start in the Netherlands and Korea, but I think
Yep.
it's
Yep.
for worldwide what we can do. So what we can learn from two faces of the horses: the horse, what
Mm-hmm.
can support us; the horse, what can be there for speed. It has both.
Mm-hmm.
And how we can learn from the horses, I think it's a huge benefit in this world.
Yes.
So we can turn around the rushed energy and learn from the horse, the authentic energy, and facilitating the calmness and kindness and healing the addiction and mental health from through care.
Mm-hmm.
And it can help, the horse can help us to dare
Wow.
to step away from the destroying, money making, gambling industry for our future generation. Do we want this for our future
Yes.
generation? I don't think so.
No.
We need
No.
to change it. Do we
Yes.
dare? But don't
Mm-hmm.
underestimate the money making industries and the power
No.
they have in their
Mm-hmm.
policies. Do you
Mm-hmm.
dare to step up? I think it's time. And I
Yes.
know from the conversations we had with your collaboration partner that
Mm-hmm.
Korea wants to be leading in the horse riding industry for healing community prosperity
How nice.
rather than only gambling.
No. Mm-hmm.
And it would be awesome
Oh
if we
yes.
can use the courage of the Koreans to
Oh
show the
yes.
courage in change
Mm-hmm.
rather than copying what isn't functioning for the country.
Wow. Fantastic.
Let the Korean intelligence show a clever and outstanding shift in the cure and the prevention of addictions. That's what I would wish for Korea. And by the way, not
Mm-hmm.
only for Korea, also for the Netherlands and
How
the world.
wonderful. Yes. We can
So
start. Yes.
here we are.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much, Nienke. This is wonderful. Thank you.
This is my heart's desire, and
Mm-hmm.
in collaboration with you. Because
Mm.
what we notice, I have always been looking to the West, to the United Kingdom, to the United States, to Canada. And then we reunited. And I can see there is a lot what we can use from the source, the roots of the meditative sources there in the East.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but it's not so natural. Apart from mindfulness and stuff like that, is getting more popular here,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
but that's not a root. That's a source to calm.
Mm-hmm.
If we know the science from heart math, what's underneath it all, I think we
Mm-hmm.
have a real hopeful seed for the
Mm-hmm.
future.
Yes.
So
Let's plant them.
I think it's time. It's time. And I can feel a real, as I said, heart's desire to contribute. And if you who are watching this video feel the same, you can reach
Mm-hmm.
us by leaving a
Mm-hmm.
comment under the video or reach out, and we will leave the email where you can reach us underneath the video as well. So we welcome you to be with us, to step up, because it's time for change, to transform, as we call the Phoenix frequencies. How
Woohoo.
low can you go before you rise? And I think if we can prevent
Mm-hmm.
people to need to see the ashes, that would be helpful. So I'm looking forward.
Me too. Me too.
So to be continued. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes. Thank you. Looking forward to our future together.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.